Welcome. Thank you for being here. This is the Restaurant Revitalization Grant webinar from the City of San Jose. We're very pleased today to have a wide range of assistance providers as well as the SBA to both connect you up with the information you need to complete the application, as well as people who can actually give you a hand with that if you find you're having any difficulties. Before we get started, I'm going to just provide a quick notice that we are doing interpretation for this webinar. I know in the lower right-hand corner, there should be a small world. You can click on that. If you prefer to have English, you can click on English. Mandarin and Vietnamese are also available. We did a Spanish language webinar on Tuesday with our partners at Prosperity Project. Project Prosperity, I think. In any case, we did our Spanish earlier, but we were pleased to be able to provide interpretation simultaneously in Mandarin and Vietnamese, and of course, English is also available. So if you're interested in that, you can click the button on the lower right-hand side. Can I ask the Mandarin interpreters to provide the direction regarding the interpretation on the lower right-hand side?
大家早上好，欢迎大家来到今天由圣何塞市政厅所举办的网络研讨会，有关于餐馆救济主题。本次会议将提供中文普通话的同声翻译服务。如果大家需要同声翻译服务的话，请点击页面右下方有一个球形按钮，请选择中文普通话的服务。谢谢，再次欢迎大家来到今天的网络研讨会，谢谢大家。
And if I could ask the Vietnamese interpreter to also invite people to engage in the interpretation by clicking the world in the lower right-hand corner as well. And Don, if I could also ask you to do that in the English channel as well, just in case people are struggling to understand how to use that.
Sure. Ok. Xin tất cả mọi người, nếu mà tất cả mọi người không nghe tôi muốn nghe tiếng Việt đó, thì ở dưới ở bên phải nó có một cái hình hoàn cầu đó, cứ bấm vào trong đó rồi tiếng Việt, cái chữ Việt nó hiện lên đó, thì bấm vào cái đó, tất cả mọi người có thể nghe được những cái lời tôi phiên dịch về trong cái việc hội thảo hôm nay.
Great, thank you so much. All right, I am now going to share my screen and we'll get started on the actual presentation piece here. As I said, we've got a great group of people who are going to be able to provide you with a wide range of information about the Rent Revitalization Grants Program. So thank you for being here. Hopefully you're in the right location. All right, a couple of quick things to let you know about. First is that we're all going to do the best we can to give you the appropriate information, but you should be careful and evaluate to make sure that it's actually information that works for you, and may want to consult with additional people to make sure that it's going to be providing you with the best results possible. As I mentioned, we're going to be providing interpretation into Vietnamese and Mandarin. We held a webinar on Tuesday in Spanish. We'll also be recording this, and you can get that information at the YouTube channel that's listed in the presentation there. We'll be using the Q&A function to be able to allow you to ask questions during the presentations. For the most part, we'll be answering those questions at the end of the presentation, but in some cases, the presenter may choose to respond during the presentation. Also, we'll be using the chat function as a way to be able to make announcements and provide you with links that may be useful in terms of the discussion. One last item is that we have a survey, which we hope that you will complete so that we are able to make improvements to the program and understand your needs better. I'm Des Woodworth. I work with the City of San Jose's Office of Economic Development. I'm also joined by Melina Iglesias, Elizabeth Handler and Joe Hedges are also from the Office of Economic Development. You can see our contact information down there, and you can follow up with us if you have any questions or concerns. This webinar is part of a series that we're offering. We have a couple of different varieties. One are purely informational, where like this one, where we'll give you a whole lot of information at one time. We're also doing something we're calling Biz Chat, SJ, through which you can get a little bit of current information, a couple of topics that we'll raise, but it's also intended to provide you with an opportunity to give us information as well as network with other businesses who are participating. So our next event next week will be a Biz Chat SJ. We're also planning on doing more on restaurants on the 20th and a child care topic on the 27th, and then returning with an additional Biz Chat on June 3rd. As I mentioned, we've got a great panel lined up for you who are going to be able to give you a lot of great information, including from organizations like the Small Business Administration, who are here as our main speaker, but also from the SBDC, SCORE, A New America, Prosperity Lab, and the Minority Business Development Agency in San Jose. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'll ask Miriam to pull up hers. Miriam is with the SBA and she'll be providing us with a presentation talking about the grant program itself and the things that you should know about as you prepare for the application. Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you, Des, and thank you to everyone for hosting today's event. Can everyone see my screen?
We can.
Okay, great. So I'm going to be talking about a new program that has been authorized and open since Monday called the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. This program was part of the American Rescue Plan Act, and the money that is available in the form of direct payments will be available until expended. And you have a pretty good window to use the funds. So eligible use of funds is no later than March 11th, 2023. And we'll get more into the terms of this program in a moment, but this is this slide is a general overview. Okay, so it is called the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. However, there are a number of business entities that are eligible, including restaurants, food stands, food trucks, food carts, caterers, bars, saloons, lounges, bakeries, brew pubs, tasting rooms, wineries, inns, and I will get into the specifics of entities that are not restaurants and what exactly you need to be eligible in one moment. And again, I'm happy to answer any specific Q&As if there is a business that is a food truck that has a commissary kitchen and wants to know on which basis they apply. There are nuances for business type that we can reference in the Q&A, or I can direct you to the website where there is a knowledge database that you can search specific questions. Who is ineligible? Entities are ineligible if any of the following apply. If you are a state or government-owned business, as of March 13, 2020, you own or operate more than 20 affiliated locations, regardless of whether those locations do business under the same or different names or are in different industries. So again, if you have a question around your specific type of affiliation as a business with other businesses within the same structure, those specific questions you can reference the website knowledge database. You also cannot be a publicly traded company, permanently closed, or a nonprofit organization. There are some conflicts with other federal programming. So you can't have been a recipient of the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, SVOG, what we call it. And that's a similar program, but a grant for the entertainment sector. So if your business falls, for example, within a restaurant or a food business and an entertainment business, you need to determine for yourself whether you would like to apply for the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant or the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. Okay, how much could you be eligible for? SBA may provide funding up to $5 million per location, not to exceed $10 million total for the applicant and any affiliated businesses. There will be several calculation types that you can use, and we'll look at those in the following slides. If your determined amount is less than $1,000, then you also will not qualify for this fund. A minimum award is $1,000. Okay, something that a lot of businesses were concerned about is if they need a DUNS or cage identifying number, if they need to register in sam.gov in order to be eligible for this program. That is no longer the case. You do not need to have a DUNS number. If you don't know what a DUNS or cage number is, then it's probably not relevant for you. So don't worry. However, if you have an ITIN number, an individual taxpayer identification number through the IRS, that is eligible as long as it is valid and unexpired. And that would be in lieu of an EIN or a social security number. Okay. Forms of organizations, forms of business type rather, that are eligible: C corporations, S corporations, partnerships, LLCs, sole proprietors, self-employed individuals, independent contractors, tribal businesses, and LLCs that are taxed as sole proprietors or S corporations. Who is eligible in terms of a franchise business? Any business concern operating as a franchise and meeting all program requirements are eligible. The franchise must be listed on the SBA franchise directory. In the online application portal, there's actually a drop down in which you can identify which franchise entity your business is part of, and that will auto-populate for you. If you do not find your franchise business in that directory, you can contact the SBA franchise directory, and there will be a note of how to do that on the applicant website. Okay. So if you had filed bankruptcy, your business is permanently closed, then you are not eligible. If you are under a bankruptcy and an approved plan of reorganization, so bankruptcy under Chapter 11, Chapter 12, or Chapter 13, then you will be able to meet the program requirements if you are eligible in other areas. And that is particularly if you filed for bankruptcy but are under an approved plan of reorganization, you are indeed eligible. The Paycheck Protection Program is another SBA facilitated federal relief program, and how it interacts with the Restaurant Revitalization Fund is if you have received funds through the PPP program, they will be subtracted from the applicant's final funding amount. An applicant is verified using, excuse me, the EIN ITIN, or social security number associated with its PPP loans. So kind of a best practice here is however your business applied for PPP, that's the information you should use to apply for the RRF, the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. If you received a PPP loan, you must use the same EIN number for your RRF application. If an applicant applied for a first draw PPP loan from multiple locations under one EIN and subsequently applied for a second draw PPP loan under different EINs, the applicant must provide the EINs for each entity that received second draw PPP loans. So this is just stating that you need to disclose all of the entities that received PPP money that are affiliated with your applicant business for the RRF program. And here's a kicker. You can't have any pending PPP loan applications while you're applying to the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. We know there are a lot of pending PPP loans, so we really encourage borrowers to work with their lenders to try to move those forward or cancel any pending applications under the PPP program prior to applying for the RRF. If you have applied and received PPP funds prior to applying for the RRF, that's totally fine. But you don't want to have any pending or future applications with PPP if you plan to apply for this program. This attestation of economic uncertainty is on the application online as a simple check mark of a box. So you are going to just attest as an applicant that you need this financial relief. Eligible use of funds. You'll find that the RRF program actually has a pretty broad range of use of funds that are eligible. You can do most anything related to expenses in your business except expansion costs. The caveat there is if you are building a parklet, outdoor dining infrastructure, that is allowed in terms of a expandable construction expense. However, you can't use this for general working capital to expand your business outside of something like an outdoor seating area. You will be able to pay back debt and obligations such as rent and mortgage. However, you cannot pay any future payments in that area. And of course, keep your documentation. There's one thing that hasn't been specified under this program yet is exactly how that reporting is going to look after the 2023 covered period ends for your use of funds. So another best practice I'll note here is if you intend to show that you used funds for supplier costs, to reimburse yourself for costs that you put into your business, you need to make sure you have documentation that you're holding on to. When do I have to use the funds? As I mentioned, the funds must be spent on expenses that were or are incurred between February 15, 2020 and March 11th, 2023. If the business permanently closes after receiving funds, the covered period will end when the business permanently closes or on March 11, 2023, whichever occurs sooner. Any funds not spent on eligible expenses by the time the covered period ends must be returned to the government. Use of funds assessment. After the total awarded funds have been exhausted, entities must provide a detailed expenditure report and certification for the required period. So that's what I was referencing in the prior slide. You're going to just need to show that you used these expenses appropriately and have forms of documentation to prove that. Until applicant completes the use of funds assessment, beginning December 2021, applicants are required to provide self-reported, unaudited data detailing use of distributed funds each year through 2023. Hopefully, we'll be getting more specific guidance in which how these self-reports are supposed to look. But again, best practice, keep your receipts. SBA will provide additional guidance. How do I calculate my potential fund amount? So the next 3 slides, we're going to be looking at calculation types that are going to be particular to your business type for how you determine what you are going to seek through the RRF application. Calculation 1 is for applicants in operation prior to or on January 1st, 2019. So this is your most basic calculation in which 2019 gross receipts minus 2020 gross receipts minus PPP loan, and you will have what you submit as your preferred direct payment as part of this program. Calculation 2. Applicants that began operations partially through 2019. You would average your 2019 monthly gross receipts times 12 minus 2020 gross receipts minus PPP loan amounts. Applicants that began operations partially in 2019, so midway through the year, you opened your business. You may choose to use calculation 2 or calculation 3. However, calculation 3 could require longer processing times. This is calculation 3. Applicants that began operations on or between January 1st, 2020 and March 10th, 2021, and applicants not yet opened but have incurred eligible expenses as of March 11th, 2021. The calculation would be total amount spent on eligible expenses between February 15th, 2020 and March 11th, 2021, minus 2020 and 2021 gross receipts, minus PPP loan amounts. Okay. And this was a result of the government hearing feedback about businesses that started after the declaration of a pandemic and how they can also receive financial support. So this calculation 3 would be for businesses that opened during pandemic era and maybe even haven't opened their doors yet, but have incurred expenses prior to the dates listed above. Now we're going to go into a bit around what is included and excluded in your gross receipts calculations. Do not include any of the following in your 2020 gross receipts. PPP money, so that includes first draw or second draw. If you had any other types of SBA funding such as a Section 1112 payments, an economic injury disaster loan, or the economic injury disaster loan advance, or what they are now calling the targeted idle advance. If you received any state or local grants, and if you received what is another relief program called the FRRP appropriation payments. So generally, if you received any other financial relief from local, state, or federal governments, that is not to be included in your gross receipts. How do I apply? The big question. You are able to apply today. The platform, the application portal is open. You can find it, the SBA platform in which you can apply at restaurants.sba.gov. You can also apply directly through a point of sale vendor. What this means is if you are a food business, and the big caveat here, I'll repeat, if you're a food business and you don't know if you qualify, you need to have 33% of on-site sales to the public. So that does not mean on premise, so it doesn't mean you have to have seating. It means that you sell food or beverage at a minimum of 33% that make up your sales to the public. So this is a clarification. If you are a wholesale business and you sell only to other businesses, you do not qualify. If you are a bakery and you sell some wholesale, but you have at least 33% that you sell from your shop to the public, then you qualify. If you are a food business that works with a POS company such as Square or Toast, that is a point of sale vendor that we call an ecosystem partner in the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. Square and Toast are POS partners that you will be able to apply for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund directly through their platforms. There are also other POS partners such as Clover and Aloha, which will help prepare POS reports for you to submit and upload into the system to apply for this fund, but they will not be taking direct applications. So going back to how do you apply, there's two ways. Restaurants.sba.gov, that's the SBA platform directly, or through Square or Toast, which are point of sale vendors that you may be working with already. There's a third way. If somebody requires ADA accessibility support and they need to do a telephonic application, you will also have that option. You can call the telephone hotline for the RRF program at 844-279-8898. Please note that it is based on Eastern Standard Time, so they close that hotline at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can request a telephonic application there, but please note that they will have to send you a hard copy application and expect that back. So unfortunately, the processing time will be a little longer if you choose to do a hard copy and telephonic application. Now we will get into some details around documentation, and I will circle back to any specific questions on eligibility. I know I weaved that in on the last slide a bit. So if you are applying for the RRF program, I encourage you to look at the documentation and the information you're going to need, maybe even the sample application before you jump in to the application portal. you should have on hand your business tax returns and bank statements for the last 3 months that you were in operation. So you will go onto the application online or through your POS partner, however you decide to submit, and you will be filling out the application form 3172, which is the form online. You will have to initial it and sign it, and it will be populated digitally on the platform. You will need to also verify your tax information on an IRS form 4506T. This is not something you'll have to have prepared prior. This will also auto-populate on the application portal, and you will just have to click and confirm that this IRS form 4506T verifies your tax information and allows the SBA to check with the IRS. So that's what that verification process on the application will look like. In terms of documentation that you will want to have prepared prior is your gross receipts documentation. You will need any of the following documents demonstrating gross receipts and eligible expenses. As I mentioned, your business tax returns, so a IRS form 1120 or an IRS form 1120S, an IRS form 1040 Schedule C, an IRS 1040 Schedule F. Of course, these are depending on your business type. For a partnership, IRS form 1065, including K1s, which are shared income statements. And as I mentioned, bank statements. We have gotten questions. I've been closed for the last 3 months. Which bank statements do I submit? The best practice here is the last 3 months that you were open. Submit those 3 bank statements. Externally or internally prepared financial statements, such as income statements or profit and loss statements. Point of sale reports, including IRS form 1099K. So this is a list of documents in which you can choose from to show your gross receipts documentation. I do encourage, if you do have a point of sale report, something that is auto-generated from a computer that can be read by a computer, that's going to create more efficiency in review of your application. So please note that if you choose to have a internally prepared document, such as an income statement, you should also have a letter from your CPA or tax advisor that certifies that document. So upload as much information, as many of these document types as you can into the portal. That is my recommendation in terms of a best practice, because we want to make sure that you have sufficient documentation that is validated by your CPA or a point of sale partner, if not an official IRS documentation. Okay, I know this is a lot of information, so bear with me. This is, again, we're just going through for calculation 1 and 2, what are you going to need? The application form, which we already discussed, that's going to be part of the online portal. The tax verification form, which will also be part of the application portal. Your 2019 gross receipts and tax returns, those are probably the most important documents that you need to have on hand. The 3 months of bank statements. And if you do not have 2020 documentation, there is some flexibility here. As I mentioned, if you don't have your federal tax returns filed, which many have not done yet, then a point of sale report for your 2020 that shows your expenses, your total gross receipts, will be a valid form of documentation. Again, if you have something that is prepared internally, make sure it's dated, certified by a CPA. There's something called a CPA comfort letter, which will attest to the information you are providing if it is not an IRS approved tax document that you are submitting to show your gross receipts. And this is a bit of repetition, but the same goes for calculation 3. You are going to need all of the above information. If you do not have your 2020 federal tax returns, you can again submit your 2021 and 2020 point of sales reports. You need to have at least one eligible expense documentation to show as supporting documents. And that could be, as I mentioned, a profit and loss statement paired with a CPA comfort letter. So your profit and loss statement verified by a tax advisor. And again, if you choose to use payroll documents, invoices, etc., as your expense documentation, please note that if it is something that is an internally prepared document, something subjective created by your individual CPA, you need to have an additional documentation to verify that it is accurate and legitimate. And that would be in the form of a signed note from your CPA, and you can reference with your tax advisor exactly what they think will suffice there. Okay. And on the online application, in an attempt to reduce human error, there are a number of populated areas on the application. So here where it says supporting account linkage validation, next to the bank statements, when you are on your application and you're asked to put in your account number for your business account, when you're asked to upload statements, anything to do with your bank account, the SBA is partnering with Plaid, which is a third-party program that many banks use to verify your bank information, and it will help you auto-populate and certify that information on the online portal. So you'll be able to sign into your bank account. Say you use Wells Fargo, you can click the Wells Fargo, sign into your, as if you are signing into your personal banking, and it will validate right there on your application your bank information. So I just wanted to note that. Okay, as I had mentioned prior, if you are not a restaurant, but you are a food business, you're trying to understand if you qualify, the number that you need to reference is on-site sales to the public comprise at least 33% of gross receipts for 2019. And this number of gross receipts on-site sales to the public, again, it includes food and beverage. And if you are a wholesale business, like a brewery or a bakery, and you sell to other businesses, you may still qualify as long as you have met this minimum threshold of on-site sales to the public. Again, there is a hotline number in which you can call. There's also representatives like myself from the local district offices. I'll make sure to put my email in the chat. There's now translated sample applications and FAQs in multiple languages. I believe that I had sent that to our colleagues here from the city of San Jose, so they can maybe put that in the chat for you as well. And yeah, I would recommend for specific questions to also look on the SBA website. So not to be confused with the restaurants.sba.gov application portal, you can get information on the SBA website /restaurants. So there is a knowledge database there, which is essentially a live FAQ in which you can search for specific questions if you do have them after this presentation. And again, some best practices. Make sure you have complete documentation before you start your application. It will be very difficult to go back and revise any errors after submitted. So please make sure you're prepared prior to submitting your application. Again, work with your CPA or your tax advisor if you do plan to submit documentation that is not in the form of an IRS document, such as a tax return. And yes, I believe that covers it. So where we're at now in terms of the timeline of this program, it did open on Monday. We are in a priority period still, which lasts the first 20 days. And this priority period is meant for applicants from small businesses owned by women, veterans, and socially and economically disadvantaged applicants. We are still in this priority period. If you are a business that you feel is eligible for this priority period, you identify as one of these demographics, you can self-certify on the portal at the time of your application that you fit this priority area. There are definitions that are available on the SBA website as to what is a socially and economically disadvantaged applicant. Generally, we are looking at minority demographics. If you are a minority that is not listed on the census as one of those categories, but you feel like you fit that category, you do not need an external certification to attest to your identity as a disadvantaged applicant. This is a self-certification. So you on the application will self-certify that you fit this priority area. We do not recommend you restructure your business ownership to fit this category. That is considered fraudulent behavior. And here are here's a bit more definition here. So this means that at least 51% of your business is owned and managed by a woman, veteran, or a socially or economically disadvantaged community member. Again, this is a self-certification, and there is an example here. If your business type has multiple owners and together they make up that 51% threshold, that is an eligible composition that would fit you into this priority period. And here is the SBA definition. Socially disadvantaged individuals are those who have been subjected to racial or ethnic prejudice, or cultural bias because of their identity as a member of a group without regard to their individual qualities. Individuals who are members of the following groups are presumed to be socially disadvantaged: Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, Native Americans, including Alaska Natives and Native Hawaiians, Asian, Pacific Americans, or subcontinent Asian Americans. Again, if you are a minority identity that you feel falls into this priority group area, your application will be based on a self-certification. So just try to be as honest as possible and in making that declaration. Economically disadvantaged individuals are those socially disadvantaged individuals whose ability to compete in the free enterprise system has been impaired due to diminished capital and credit opportunities as compared to others in the same business area who are not socially disadvantaged. If you feel like you would like to submit some further attestation to why you self-certify in one of these categories, again, a supplemental document that maybe explains how you've been unable to receive capital in your career as a small business owner, how you've experienced disadvantage in the education system. Those sort of things can help lend to your self-certification as a priority group applicant. Again, entity reorganization for purposes of qualification for the priority period will result in automatic disqualification. So do not try to rearrange, don't put a woman in power just for this application. They have to be a pre-existing owner that meets that 51% threshold. And this is a high-level look at what funding is available in the program. Again, funding is available until it is expended. And this is kind of a breakdown for different applicant types of how much may be available. And that does it. Thank you so much for your time, and I'm happy to pass it back to Des for follow-up.
Wonderful, Miriam. Very, very well done. You captured a lot of information in a very brief period of time. I anticipate that there'll be some questions. What I'd like to do at this point is have you stop sharing your screen, and I'll share mine, and we'll introduce the other panelists who may be able to bring additional insights into the topics that are being discussed here, and would also be great contacts for the organizations that, or sorry, the audience members who are interested in connecting up with these assistance organizations to make sure that that they're getting all the help that they can in order to do the application. So we've just completed the SBA application. As I mentioned, we have a number of organizations that are prepared to help you with the rest of the process. I'm going to ask Ali Lopez to speak in just a minute. She's with the Silicon Valley SBDC. She's joined by Nan Nguyen, a Vietnamese speaker who's prepared to be of assistance as well, and Victoria Braca, who's a Mandarin speaker. So what they'll do is Ali will provide in English an overview of the SBDC program, and then Nan will speak for about a little less than 2 minutes, and Victoria as well, in their native tongues, to give those attendees whose preferred language is Vietnamese or Mandarin the opportunity to make a connection there. So with that, Ali, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the SBDC program?
Thank you, Des. Good morning. As Des stated, I am Ali Lopez, the Program Director for Silicon Valley SBDC, which is a Small Business Development Center. And as Des stated, Nan Nguyen and Victoria Braca are here, who are business advisors that provide additional support in both English and Vietnamese and English and Mandarin. Not here today is our program director for SBDC Hispanic Satellite, which is Yakinex Posadas, who can assist businesses in English and Spanish. So who are we? Silicon Valley SBDC and the SBDC Hispanic Satellite are part of the Northern California Network, which is part of a nationwide network under the Small Business Administration, which is SBA. SBDC provides access to information and resources to help you start, sustain, and grow your business. Our services include free workshops and webinars, free one-on-one advising. During COVID, we've assisted many small businesses in Santa Clara County with the PPP, the EIDL, the California Relief Grant, California Rebuilding Fund, San Jose Rent Relief Grant, Kiva, and other traditional lending. Currently, we're assisting with the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, which is SVOG, and now the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. We're providing step-by-step guidance through weekly virtual Q&A and application sessions. So if you have questions and you need someone to walk you through personally through the process, we do breakout rooms and have you there with an advisor. These take place Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. We can also assist with pivoting your business to help you through the COVID-19 pandemic in other languages like English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Mandarin, Portuguese, and Korean. We could definitely outsource other language translations as you need it through our California SBDC network and our local community partners. So please don't let language be your barrier of not contacting myself, SBDC, or our community partners that can assist you through this process. Our contact information is on the slide, which our website, svsbdc.org, our phone number. You can email our office manager, which is Connie Madrigal. Her email is there. And if you point your camera on the QR code that's on our page, you can go directly to our website. And so good luck, everyone, with your application. Thank you for having us. And then Na will now introduce herself, and then Victoria. Thanks, Des. Is Na on here?
Well, let's give her a moment and ask Victoria if she'll address the group.
大家好，我叫 Victoria Brasher， 我是加州小企业发展中心的商业顾问。
I'm a California SBD a business owner. We are a non-profit organization, so we can provide you for free to medium small size enterprises with a free consultation. We can not only help you apply for the RRF, but also we can provide you with information about the loan application, helping you to apply for any relief fund and help the medium and small sized and businesses with the loan application and help you to sustain your business. And also we can provide you with some and business and plan and encouraging your client to come back, and also to promote your growth, and also develop the policy for your growth, and then give support, provide support to you. And also we have some background, and we have degrees in finance and accounting, and also we are business owner. We also as a business owner I've been involved in 15 years, so I think we can provide you with a free support. Thank you.
Wow, that was great. I got to hear both Na and Thon. I'm very impressed on that you can do both directions in terms of interpretation. I know that's a complicated skill, and to be able to do it in both directions is very impressive. I think for, the further interpretation as we go along, I think we'll just listen to the language as it's spoken rather than asking the interpreters to try to turn things the other direction. So actually, that was Victoria who was speaking, wasn't it? I'm sorry. I got my speakers mixed up because we had originally planned to have Na speak first. But Victoria, nicely done. Also with the interpreters, thank you much. And I think what we'll do is we'll just listen to Na as she provides us with the the connection with the SBDC in Vietnamese.
Xin chào quý vị chủ doanh nghiệp, đặc biệt là nhà hàng của đang nghe đài của thành phố San Jose, đang nghe chương trình này. SBDC ở Silicon Valley đó là trung tâm phát triển doanh nghiệp. Đây là chương trình có khắp cả nước Mỹ và là partner với lại Small Business Administration, có nghĩa là nơi giúp cho các doanh nghiệp nhỏ phát triển. Chúng tôi ở đây có những thông tin và những cái kết nối để giúp quý vị bắt đầu phát triển và hỗ trợ cho quý vị phát triển doanh nghiệp của mình. Trong cái từ khi mà xảy ra cái Covid-19 là hồi tháng 3 năm ngoái, thì chúng tôi đã giúp đỡ rất là nhiều business, rất là nhiều doanh nghiệp để mà có thể có được những cái tiền tài trợ cũng như là tiền mượn, như là chương trình EIDL, chương trình PPP và chương trình cho để mà giúp đỡ của tiểu bang và những cái quỹ phát triển của tiểu bang, cũng như là chương trình giúp đỡ trả tiền rent của thành phố San Jose, Kiva và những cái chương trình giúp cho mượn truyền thống khác. Hiện tại thì khi mà chương trình giúp cho các nhà hàng đó mở ra thì chúng tôi cũng đã nhận được cái sự ủng hộ cũng như là nhờ giúp đỡ để mà điền đơn. Thì cái công việc này thì mình làm từ hồi năm ngoái, nên là rất là cảm thấy là cái đơn từ này thì cũng khá là đơn giản. Nhưng mà nếu mà quý vị không có rành tiếng Anh hoặc là mình cũng gặp khó khăn khi mà điền đơn từ vì không hiểu thì cứ gọi cái số phone liên lạc của văn phòng cũng như là số phone trực tiếp của Nga có ở trên màn hình, quý vị có thể nhìn thấy. Thì ngoài ra thì chúng tôi còn có những cái workshop để mà quý vị có thể có thêm kiến thức để mà quản lý cái doanh nghiệp của mình. Nếu có câu hỏi hoặc thắc mắc gì cho chương trình này cũng như là những chương trình khác đang có như là PPP đợt 2 hoặc là xin mượn loan của tiểu bang thì quý vị cứ gọi liên lạc với số phone của Nga hoặc là văn phòng. Xin chào quý vị.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you all very much for that information, Ali, Victoria, and Na. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you giving us the good information about the SBDC. Another organization that is key to the SBA's support of small business is SCORE. It's also an SBA-funded organization, and Maurice Brewster is going to provide in English the basic overview about SCORE. Go ahead, Maurice.
Thanks, Des. SCORE is a phenomenal free resource that was founded in 1964 as a nonprofit organization to partner with the United States Small Business Administration. Because we receive government funding, and thanks to thousands of dedicated volunteers, specifically just over 60 volunteers here in Silicon Valley, we can deliver most of our offerings, most of our advice, most of our information confidentially, and here's the kicker, free. It doesn't cost you a thing. We've got just over 10,000 experts, people that are business volunteers, mentors. I'm a mentor. I'm also an entrepreneur that has benefited from working with SCORE. We provide all services virtually. We can also do it by phone or by email, but we also provide webinars and online resources for not only existing entrepreneurs, but folks that are in the process right now of developing their new business. Some of the resources that we have, which you see on the screen, are mentoring, webinars, courses on demand. We have a huge library of online resources, and we do local events. And those local events sometimes are free, or they are very low cost for in-person workshops and roundtable discussions. With the mentoring part, the entrepreneurs, you can access all of those confidential business mentoring sessions completely free. And the good thing is that we as entrepreneurs and we as mentors have walked in the same shoes that either you are currently walking in or the shoes that you will be walking in. And we can help you avoid some of the pitfalls that we experience in our businesses. For example, I've been an entrepreneur for 19 years. And I could tell you that the information that we receive from Silicon Valley Business Council, as well as SCORE, I've been able to benefit from in this past pandemic, which is what prompted me to say, well, if I'm going to get this great information, maybe I can volunteer and be a mentor. And that's how I became a mentor. The webinars, again, they're all online. They're free. The workshops online, free, and they range from strategies in marketing, finance. We're not, any of us, we don't give legal advice, but we can point you to people within the network that can give you that type of advice. If you're not able, because you're working hard during the day and you're not able to make the sessions that we have during the day, there's a whole library of online resources that you could tap into and see at your leisure in the evening when you've got some downtime and want to research online resources. And then last but not least, we have local events. Now, all the local events are on hold now because of the pandemic, but when we get back to normalcy, we will be having in-person local events where there'll be some great networking and abilities for you to be able to meet other entrepreneurs and just talk the talk with them in a casual setting. That's my presentation for SCORE. You see the information on the screen that shows you what our website is. You can go on and get just a ton more information than what I've given you in this short 3 or 4 minute presentation. And you can even select a mentor based on their experience that may better fit your need for business advice. With that, I wish you all well as entrepreneurs as we get out of this pandemic and tap into the free resources that are made available to you by the SBA and SCORE right here in Silicon Valley. See ya.
Great, Maurice. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being willing to step forward and be of assistance to your fellow entrepreneur. This is a tough time, and all the organizations here are making a tremendous difference, and really appreciate your individual contribution as well as a volunteer.
It's certainly my pleasure.
Thank you. Also, another SBA funded organization is A New America. They fund the Women's Business Center here in San Jose, and Asbury Lockett is going to provide information in English, and then Trong Valdez will talk with the attendees in Vietnamese to give them some additional details in that language. Go ahead, Asbury.
Thank you, Des. Welcome, everyone. My name is Asbury Lockett. As Des mentioned, I'm the Center Director of the Women's Business Center. We call it the Core Center in San Jose. Des, we could advance to the next slide. That'll be appreciated. Thank you. The Women's Business Center here in San Jose, as it says there, we provide training, we provide one-on-one counseling and other support focused on women entrepreneurs for both to start their business and successfully grow their businesses. But although we're called the Women's Business Center, our center is really open to services for all. So we don't just exclude anyone who's not a woman. So if you aren't a woman and you need services, we're available for you there. We're hosted by the A New America Community Corporation, which is actually based out of Oakland, and A New America hosts actually 4 of the Women's Business Centers. And the Women's Business Centers are actually a part of a network, nationwide network of centers sponsored by the SBA. And we are what's referred to as SBA resource partners, which along with our friends at the SBDC and our friends at SCORE are also SBA resource partners. We're partially funded by the SBA. So we're part of this overall network of SBA resource partners, just there to support you and to help you through any challenges that your business may be encountering. We're fortunate here in the South Bay to have 2 women's business centers, one specifically related to COVID-19 assistance to businesses, such as the presentation that you just saw on the Restaurant Revitalization program and say economic disaster loans, anything having to do with COVID and the impact it's had on your business. We have a separate center for that. So my colleague Trang will be discussing that with you, and she's with that center. I'm with what we refer to as the Core Center, and that handles everything else that your business may need outside of the things that you were directly affected about regarding the pandemic. So things like marketing your business. But we also do a lot in terms of startups. So if people who are thinking about starting a business, we can assist them in that. And we're also very fortunate to have actually in both our offices, we have the capability to address your needs both in English and Vietnamese. So our client manager at our Core Center, that's the center that I'm over, is Linda Lee, and she's pictured there. She does a lot of our training as well as she does one-on-one counseling. So she's available for you for any of those type of needs. I mentioned earlier, we do have some training events. Again, all of our services are no cost, and we have a training event coming up at the end of this month. There's a link there, and it's called So You Want to Be the Boss. And Linda will be conducting that with a Vietnamese translation. And that is for people who are interested in starting their own business. So if you know of those who are interested in starting their own business, please encourage them to come to that event. The link is there. And like I said, Linda will be teaching that and available on a one-on-one basis for anyone from that point forward. So I just want to give you a little information about Linda. I'm going to pass it over to Trang, who is in our, as I mentioned, our COVID resiliency office. And she'll be talking with you about specifically what that office can do for you. So I'll pass it over to Trang. Thank you and good luck to everyone.
Thank you. Dạ, kính chào các anh chị em tiểu thương gia người Việt. Em tên là Trang Valdez, là Client Manager từ Trung tâm Phục hồi Kinh doanh COVID-19 ở South Bay, New America. Mình có thể nói lưu loát tiếng Anh và tiếng Việt. Nếu cơ sở thương mại của quý vị bị ảnh hưởng bởi COVID-19, thì trung tâm mình là nơi giúp các cơ sở thương mại của quý vị hoạt động trở lại và hoạt động có hiệu quả thông qua các dịch vụ hỗ trợ như hướng dẫn làm hồ sơ cho các khoản trợ cấp, các khoản vay, chương trình phục hồi ngành nhà hàng ORF này là một ví dụ điển hình. Chúng tôi còn giúp quý vị nhiều các dịch vụ khác nữa. Xin vui lòng truy cập vào website như quý vị thấy trên màn hình newamerica.org để có đầy đủ thông tin. Cá nhân Trang đã có thời gian làm việc thiện nguyện giúp đỡ đồng hương người Việt trong mùa Covid vừa qua, như tặng thực phẩm cho các gia đình cần thiết, hướng dẫn xin trợ cấp thất nghiệp, vân vân. Nên Trang hiểu rất rõ những khó khăn mà các đồng hương đang gặp phải trong thời gian đại dịch này. Mình rất mong đóng góp một phần nào đó để giúp các anh chị em tiểu thương gia vượt qua những khó khăn lúc này và sớm ổn định lại công việc kinh doanh. Nếu các anh chị em tiểu thương gia cần giúp đỡ cho cơ sở thương mại của mình, xin liên lạc Trang qua số phone 408 645 5972 hoặc là qua email như trên màn hình. Trung tâm phục hồi kinh doanh COVID-19 ở Sao Bay, New America hy vọng là người bạn đồng hành giúp business của quý vị hoạt động thành công. Xin cảm ơn quý vị đã lắng nghe. I'm done, Des. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicely done. Thank you very much. I'll also mention that A New America, in addition to offering Vietnamese services and obviously the English side of things, also has the ability to provide Spanish services. I clicked over here a little prematurely, but I would like to invite Armando Ricardes to join us as well, and he can provide some additional information about the Mesa Redonda, sorry about that, which is a project of Prosperity Lab. Armando, can you give us some information about your program?
Yes, certainly. Well, first of all, good morning, everybody, and thank you for taking the time to join us and facilitate us. My name is Armando Ricardes. I know most of you guys because we've been working together for quite a few years, but it's always a pleasure to be able to collaborate together to be able to help our business community. Like I said, my name is Armando Ricardes, and I am the food service director here at Mesa Redonda. It's a program sponsored by Prosperity Labs, and we work strictly with the food service industry. We've been helping assisting with the PPP loans, also the IDLs. We also work in conjunction with the Office of Labor Standard and the Fair Workplace. So basically, we've been working in helping the restaurants get back into prosperity mode. That's what we call our lab, Prosperity Labs. As you can see, if you click on the QR code, it will take you to our landing page. We offer most of the same services that all of you guys provide. There is a lot of need out there, and I'm so glad to see everybody joining forces, enable to service our business community. We offer a free and confidential resources for food service programs, training both live and on demand as well. If you need your sexual harassment or your wait staff class taken and be certified, you can do that online. You don't have to attend a 2.5-hour class at a certain time. You could do it at 2 o'clock in the morning. Just log on to our website and you could just do it from your bed. So that's a great thing. Training. We do offer free legal advice. We have a on-site lawyer. Well, if you make an appointment, you could come in here and, whatever legal issues you may have, we could probably facilitate that. So that's one of the things that we do offer. And we also have a program called, oh my God, what is the name of that free program? A la carte. So it's a food directory where you could just put in your menu, and it's just a directory. So thank you all for having us and for facilitating us.
Armando, always good to work with you. Is there anything you'd like to highlight on this particular section as well?
So basically, this is what we help facilitate. If you want to start your own food truck, we help you through all the process. We work in conjunction with the city planning department. We help facilitate that. If you want to open up your restaurant, catering, any type of food service program, we can help you. We can help you with that. We also have a great marketing team, capital strategies, all of these operations for efficiency in your restaurant. We could go in, do a walkthrough, and point out certain things that you may want to cut out or implement in your food service restaurant so that we can increase your profitability. So yeah, we basically deal with mainly the food service industry.
Fabulous. And as you point at that last bullet, you can also help with the Restaurant Revitalization Fund application.
Definitely.
So, wonderful. Thank you very much for doing that. And I'll mention, since Armando was shy about it, that they also speak Spanish and are happy to be of assistance to our Spanish-speaking businesses who may be looking for additional resources. Our last presenter is Porter Wong. He's with the Minority Business Development Agency. Porter, can you tell us a little bit about what you guys do and how your title or your organization name is no longer quite reflect the range of things you guys do?
Yes, hi, everyone. Yes, so I am a small business consultant from Asian Inc. And Asian Inc. Was founded back in the 1970s. So we have 4 office locations, one in San Francisco, one in San Jose, one in Fresno, and then one in Oakland. And back in the 70s, when we first started out, we actually was in the affordable housing business. Today, we still are. We aiding medium or low income people to access to affordable housing. And we also provide financial education, providing like training and seminars for financial literacy. And also we provide a free file tax return for medium to low income people. So the other piece is basically is the small business technical assistance. So that is where I'm coming. And we operate a couple of programs, actually several programs. One is the Minority Business Development Agency, which is a unit of the U.S. Department of Commerce. We operate as a business center. The center actually serves all 9 Bay Area counties. And we also operate a number of State of California's small business technical assistance program. So we are also, for the California Relief Grant, actually we are partner of Landustry, provide a lot of technical assistance for small business to apply for the California Relief Grant. Now, the service, we basically provide for small business, we have 5 different areas. One is procurement services. We basically provide like one-on-one consulting and business contract opportunities, matching opportunities with small business for federal, state, local government or big corporations. And we also provide help in terms of certification. As you know, for small business, if you want to, able to access to some contracts set aside for some of the procurement opportunity from the government, or maybe even some other bid advantage, certification is important. So we are here to help people to identify what kind of certification they need, and also helping them in the application processes. And we also provide, business consulting, for company that they are newly started, the organization structures, business plan, the strategic planning, and things like that. And also, we spend a lot of time helping small business to access the capital, both like traditional, conventional bank loan, SBA loan, or micro loan. And we also helping small business to access to bonding, especially for the newcomer. It gets quite complicated, and it's not easy to find out all the information, the necessary information that related to bonding. And then lastly, we provide education and training in a lot of, in all basically small business related matter. So that's all the information I have today. So now what I would like to do is take a couple minutes to basically share the same information with the audience for the Mandarin speakers. 大家好，我是那个王先生，我叫 Porter Wong.
Hi, my name is Wang. My name is Porter Wang. I'm the advisor of the Minority Business Development Agency Business Center. I want to brief you
府的项目 contract 还有呢要做 certification 的时候，因为有 certification 的时候，对小商业呢就是有那个比较有利去争取那个政府跟大公司的合约，还有就是提供那个商业的顾问的服务，然后呢还有就是说会帮助大家去贷款就是说一般的那个银行的贷款或是一些我们叫那个micro loan，然后呢到最后呢我们是提供很多那个training 的课程给大家。那大家有问题的话有什么问题或是服务的话，就可以随时联络我们，谢谢。Okay, so I'm done with my Mandarin information. 谢谢。
Wonderful, Porter. Thank you so much. And thank you to all of the presenters today. This is a lot of information, but I want to also point out to all the attendees that there are a lot of resources out there to provide you with assistance. So we've got a nice overview about the program from the SBA, and then we got an introduction with all of the small business assistance organizations who are prepared to assist you with your application and beyond, because as you can hear, many of them will actually provide assistance in more than just basic application completion, but also as you're looking at more carefully at the operations at your restaurant, they can be of assistance with that. So I encourage you to take advantage of that. If you'll give me a couple minutes, I will post all their contact information, and we'll also be following up with the presentation as well, so that you can actually review the information that has been presented. So you're all prepared now to apply for the grant, so that's good. And you've made the connections that you need in the event that you run into trouble. So that, I think I'm hopeful that this webinar has been useful for all of you. I also want to thank all of the panelists from the SBA, the SBDC SCORE, A New America, Mesa Redonda, and the MBDA for all of their time that they took today to inform us about all the great things that are going on and just the great financial resources that are available through the SBA program. I also want to thank the interpreters, especially as we were looking at going both directions. Very impressed with that. I know that they've done a great job, and we really want to make sure that we're able to communicate effectively with people, even if there may be a language barrier. And so we're trying to overcome that. Also want to thank my colleagues, Melina, Joe, and Elizabeth, without whose hard work we would not be able to put together this webinar. So thank you, all of those I've mentioned. Again, thank you to the attendees also for attending. I do want to ask of the attendees if you would complete the survey that you'll receive so that we can get some additional information from you. And then also I want to invite you to consider returning to us. We hold these webinars each week, usually in the afternoon. But again, we have the BizChat SJ, and we also cover in more detail other types of topics, including more information on the restaurants, which are planned for 2 weeks out, and then also on childcare, which will be coming up as well. With that, I want to again thank all of you for attending, all of you for presenting, and I look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. 谢谢，再见。
再见。
Adiós.
Ajá, muy bien.
Muy bien.
Adiós.
Adiós.
Chao.
Bye, Na. Good to see you. Bye-bye.